Mona, you're able to listen my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But somebody has said the questions that is not audible. Not
Sir,
audible.
So that is, we
Palabhatya
switched
Venkatesh.
off the music, sir. We switched off the music.
Acha, acha, okay, okay.
Please go ahead, sir.
It is audible now.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead and start. You want me to start now or some prayer or anything is there?
So you can start, sir. We can start the session with you.
Okay. Namaste, Andy. Good evening. Good morning. PM Kumar Garu, Saugata Ray, and Jilmero Saljarji. Namaste. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Namaste.
Good morning.
Morning, good evening, rather.
Good evening, Andy. I welcome you to the 9th session of our learning journey on family businesses. The essential mantra of family business by Parampara Family Business Institute. PFB is not a for-profit initiative of GMR Varalakshmi Foundation, and it is an endeavor to continue this tradition of creating awareness and learning on family governance. The purpose of this session is to provide a platform, impart the latest knowledge to explore and understand aspects that leverage the best of both family and businesses. The previous session saw an enthusiastic participation of members of family businesses and the professionals from across the globe. In today's session, I am delighted to welcome Mr. Gilvero Salsar, who is an advisor to multi-generational family-owned enterprise of diverse sizes and generations and industries throughout North America, Latin America, and Europe. He is a family business member and an expert on family governance and legacy succession. His advisory work primarily focuses on the family charters, a generational transition, family vision, and values of the decision-making, siblings, sibling partnership, and the cousin consortium development and the conflict resolution. Sorry. He is author of the book titled A Road to Triumph in a Family Business, which gives the theoretical and practical strategies to manage the different stages with real examples and a clear guide that addresses communication, defined purpose in family business, creating an effective family charter, managing next generation leaders, and preparing for the generational transition. Joining us, the expert moderator for the event is Professor Saugata Ray and Thomas Simdani, Chair, Professor of Strategy and Entrepreneurship Practice, and Executive Director of the Thomas Simdani Center for Family Enterprise at the Indian School of Business, that ISB. He has helped ambitious entrepreneurs, family firms, and business groups in crafting their businesses and growth strategies following a sustainability principles. Our expert facilitator, Mr. P.M. Kumar, is our guru. He is a leading family business advisor, focusing on small and emerging family business in India and abroad. He also specializes in strategic facilitation and organizational development. For 4.5 decades, he has worked in senior roles in corporates with many leading companies in their growth and transformation. In today's interesting conversation between Ms. Salsar and Professor Saudare, we hope to gain insights and inspiring next generation talent. In the early years of family business, family life typically revolves around the business. The growing business is nurtured with the devotion that a parent gives to a young child. But as a generation passes, it is naturally for family members to pursue diverse activities. Many tend to move away from the original home base and not be as a connected to the businesses. Some may question the benefits of their partnership, whether they should remain as owners. Adversity and crisis reveal the resilience of a family. Some entrepreneurial families derail, divide, destroy the value in the face of adversity. Other families unite, pivot, and create a value what set the resilience of families apart. Today, we'll gather practical insights on the success mantras of generational transition in business families from our expert panel. I hope that Parampara Family Business Institute, with this online symposium and curated sessions by globally renowned experts on the subject, will benefit established and upcoming family business. And I wish you all the members, those who are joined, will enjoy this session. Really, I'm very much thankful to take such a time. Mr. Salsar is taking a time yesterday from Houston, and Sauda, really thank you very much, sir. You're giving a wonderful efforts you are keeping to create awareness and particularly our Guru, Mr. P.M. Kumar. I want to thank all the people. Please kindly, it will be very good, inspiring for me also. Even though we start our family constitution, it is I always believe that running a family is difficult, running a business is very difficult, easy. Running a business is easy, running a family is difficult. Still, is a learning, is a big lesson, is a big ocean. And yesterday I had a good talk to Mr. Salsar and Mr. Ray, and a wonderful session yesterday I had this. And please kindly continue. Thank you very much again, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. G.M. Rao Garu, for a very warm welcome and thoughtful introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm very delighted and grateful for this opportunity to moderate the session on a topic that I am sure resonates with everyone associated with family businesses and business families. Continuity and sustainability of family businesses across generations are one of the most foremost challenges that the business families of anywhere in the world have been facing for generations. For a family business to survive across generations, it needs to be relevant for not only to the next generation of customers, to the society, to the employees, to the business associates, the partners, but most importantly, also to the next generation shareholders, and some of whom would be the potential future family business leaders. However, ironically, the traditional principles of making a business relevant for other stakeholders like the customers often don't apply to this next generation family shareholders, who may have very different aspirations and points of views of the future. And this is a typical challenge associated with intergenerational differences, which is a very natural and inevitable phenomenon. It has always existed and shall continue to exist. However, the complexity and enormity of this challenge perhaps were not as much earlier as being felt nowadays. Unfortunately, several developments in the contemporary world, such as massive changes in the social structure, norms, values, principles, and the tsunami of digital technologies in everyday life have been accentuating and widening these intergenerational gaps. The next generation members of contemporary business families have many distractions as well as very many attractive career and other entrepreneurial opportunities to pursue. To compound the problem, oftentimes family businesses are in very traditional, facile, almost boring industries rather than glamorous, modern, cool, intuitively appealing businesses that are emerging today. If your family businesses manufactures cleaning supplies, how can you compete against the Google, Apple, Uber, or even Paytm or a PhonePe of the world in coolness quotient or a quotient of being very sexy, very glamorous? And how do you then motivate the next generation to plunge into such kind of so uncool businesses and take the legacy of the family forward? It's a very unfair competition, but a serious challenge nonetheless. So how do business families address this enormous challenge in intergenerational challenges? And that has become increasing in today's context. How they engage effectively with the next generation and inspire them to grow the legacy of the family are the primary focus of the today's conversation, as Mr. Rao has mentioned. We have amongst us Mr. Guillermo Salazar, one of the foremost global experts on the governance, legacy, succession, and communication in business families, to illuminate us on this very important subject. I will now request Guillermo to share his thoughts before I return with a few follow-up questions and also take some questions from the audience. Welcome, and over to you, Guillermo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Parampara Family Business Institute for this opportunity to share with you some of my experience working with families. I want to thank also to Mr. G.M. Rao and Prasad Kumar and Sugata Ray and Manesa Kakulabarapu and Bhuvana Chakravarti for this opportunity to be here, and all the team of PFBI for this morning for me, this evening for you. And I hope that these ideas that I'm going to share can address some insights for trying to put together some of the concepts that I'm very sure that you will understand and identify in your own culture. So I have a presentation here that I'm going to share with you. It's related with the concepts that we are going to talk about. But first, I want to start from the beginning. I'm very sure that all of you know this model. This is the three-circle model, developed to understand how the system works in order to see where are the different persons related with the concept of ownership, family, or enterprise. In some cases, the family business decides that the balance between family and business could tend to make it in a tendency to get the best for the business. In some other cases, we can see the opposite. We can see that the family is more important than the business. In some not very common cases, I can see that there are families that has a fragile balance between the preferences of giving more importance to the business or the families. Whatever we choose, it is not important which side we want to go, or either if we want to keep on the balance. It all belongs to the culture of the own family business. I cannot tell you from my experience that it is better to get a balance tending to the business or the family, other having this fragile balance. It will depend on the culture of the family. The real question here is if we can answer, do we want to keep on going together? This is what we have to answer first of all. Every time that I have the opportunity to work with a family, on the first meeting, we always finish this meeting with this question. And I have to say that most of the cases, I will say that 95% of the cases, they say, yes, we want to keep on going together. Okay, if that's the answer, so let's move ahead. I think that if we want, as a family, to keep the business ongoing and being as a team through all of the path that it requires, it is necessary to go through three important concepts. The first of all is that we have to improve communication. The second is we have to define purpose. And finally, we can set the rules for something that we can call the family charter. But we need to go through the three different steps. So I want to start with the first one that I think is very important because this is the base of everything that we do, which is improving communication. We as human beings, we can improve communication. This is a practical value. This is something that can be learned, can be taught, and can be implemented in the dynamics of a family, business, or a organization, of everything that have to be with human beings. So we are lucky ones. We are humans, so we can see that all of the axioms or the theory that have been described for human beings communication can be applied to our family business. And the first of these axioms is that it is impossible not to communicate. We are always interacting. We are members of a system that cannot be without interaction. That means that if I want to shut up my mouth and not saying anything, I'm still communicating an idea. And that idea is, I don't want to talk, for example, or I don't need to talk. And every time that we are in a family business, we will see that all of their relationships among the members are always interacting. If a father doesn't want to talk with a son or a daughter, it doesn't mean that he is not sending a message. He is sending a clear message to his kids. So there is another thing related with this axiom, which is the way that we understand that the communications go through the digital and the analogic language. The digital is the information that we say with our mouth or we write with our messages. And the analogic language is the one that we express with our body, with the expression of our face, or even with the tone of our voice. Those are two different things that can send different messages. If you have to trust one of the two languages, the best way is trusting analog language, because it is very hard to control. I mean, you cannot lie. If you only rely on the language of the body of someone, you will see that they are really saying the truth of their feeling. For example, in this image, you can see a couple that is trying to struggle with some situation. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what they are being talking about. We don't know what they are talking about right now, if they are. The thing is that we understand that because of their body language, that there is a situation of conflict among them. We don't know the kind of relationship. Maybe they are spouses, maybe they are siblings, we don't know. The thing is that there is a problem among them, and they cannot understand the different ideas that they are presenting. we can infer a lot of information just staring at their body languages. And it happens with everything that we work with human relationships. And the third and final axiom that I would like to share today is that in order to understand others in my system, I have to understand that most of the information that I receive and I process is ruled by biases and preferences. In some cases, I can see things that other doesn't see. I can understand things the ways that other doesn't understand. And most of the cases are focused on the way that my bias can see the same reality than others. For example, this is a very classical image that I always try to present to the families I work with, to show you that in this particular portrait, you will see both images of a young woman and an old woman. Some can see both, some can see only the young one, and some can see only the old one. But in many families, you will see that not always you will find a family group that they are always seeing the same reality, the same images. And this is an exercise that I invite you to do with your family. And you will see that this always applies to them. The other thing is that if we want to put that information that we've been sharing in a practical way, we will understand that most of the personalities that integrate a family group are part of a classification that we can do of different personalities of human beings when you take in consideration the way that you behave in an introverted or extroverted way, or the way that you get information in your environment through thinking or through feeling. And those are preferences of the way that I interact with the environment and the way that my personality feels more comfortable working and behaving with other human beings. So in that preference, we will see that there are basically four kinds of personalities. The ones that we can name the blues are persons with an orderly low life, a low predisposition to change. We have also the red people, which are the natural leaders, the high energy. We have the green people, which is the ones that, and I belong to the green people, with the tendency to please to others. And there are the yellows, which are the artists, the optimists, the fun-loving. Depending on the personality that you can identify yourself, you will be that you have some preferences of the way that others communicate with you. For example, in a family, I can be a blue person, that I'm the son of a red person, which is the leader, the energetic entrepreneur. And the way that we communicate will always be in conflict if we don't take in consideration that both of us, we go through thinking of the environment, but one is introverted and the other is extroverted. So the extroverted will like to create an environment of communication with an invasion of your personal space, and will like to lead the conversation, will like to have the last word, will like to be the one that take action. But on the other hand, we will have the son, which is a blue, and he would prefer to have all of the information previously sent to him to analyze and to receive all of the package of data that he needs to analyze everything that he will discuss with his father. And if we don't respect that kind of preferences, we probably will be in presence of a conflict that is not in the content, in the content of the communication. It's not related with the digital language. It's related with the analogic language, and the conflict will be through something that doesn't have anything to do with the real matter that they are discussing. So this is the way that we understand how we can improve most of the communications among members of a family business. The second objective of this path is to create the purpose. So in order to create the purpose, we have to go back again to the three circle models and understand that most of the family has values that can be classified among the different circles. The emotional values that are related with the families, the pragmatic values with the ownership, and the ethical values with the business. All of those values can be depicted and can be identified through something that we call the storytelling of the family. And we do the storytelling to create the, especially for the next generations, the identity with the story of the family, with the belongingness and the proud of being part of a family business that probably have been go through a lot of situations that really have make it worth to have a family business. So once we have detected all of those values and all of those elements that create the family business storytelling, we create a coat of arms like this one. When we discover our story, we share our experiences, and we can create artistically and in a very creative way something that we share proudly as a coat of arms of a storytelling. I'm going to show you my example, the one that I did with my family. I was born and raised in Venezuela, which is a country in South America. It's a very tropical one. We create this coat of arms with the values of the business. On one side, we come from the construction business and the values of our faith and sense of union in the family. And just created that, telling stories, seeing what's important for us. And we proudly create something like that. It was a very simple one, but we are very proud of this. So once we have been creating our story, we come from the past, we go through our present. The next step is to project to the future. And creatively, we can start to do the shared dream. And as a dream, we can see that it's always images that we can recall in our mind, because when thinking of the future, it's very hard to put in words what we are seeing in our dream. It's oniric. We need images. So we can share those images in different ways that we can create. We can create a collage with some old magazines and scissors. We can select images and make a composition. We can draw, we can do things. For example, this one is from a family that we did it with Legos, Lego blocks. And this family was telling the story of the future because they all belong to a second generation. They come from a previous generation with their ancestors that are all dead, and they want to take care of the patrimony of the family, which is the business. And they are aware of the different dangers that are surrounding them, trying to make them to collapse. But they are a family that will create that vision of future, taking care of this patrimony. So once you have with this vision that you have created, shading these images of future, now you have all the blocks to create a purpose. And the difference between the vision and purpose is that the vision tells you where you want to go, and the purpose tells you why you want to go there. And creating the purpose is easy once you have done the previous exercises. You can say we, and you put the names of the ones who participated in the Share a Dream exercise, united by a common history based on the values that you want to safeguard, that you have identified. Wish to build a future in which we improve, and then you put the values that you want to work on. In order to achieve our shared dream as a family business, which through, and you name the products or services that you do, we will bring the kind of benefits that you offer to our society. Something like that. You don't have to do exactly this, but this is a tool that can help you to define all of those elements that you have created from your storytelling, which is based on the value, which is based on the way that you have learned to improve your communication. So once you have that, then I think that this is the best moment to start writing down the rules that you need to put on order the governance and the succession if the family needs to address the succession issues. And the governance are basically talking about the council that you can have in your system. You can have only one council that can do both works of the family council and the board of the business. If you don't have a very complex business, you can have only one board or council, or you can separate them if the complexity of your system requires it. We are going to talk about the duties of the members of the family and obviously the rights that you have with the patrimony. So when we talk about the council, we will talk about the characteristics, the functions of this body of governance, and who will be the members and how can we replace the members in case that we need to. When we talk about the duties, we are going to talk about ethics. We are going to talk about responsibilities of the members that identify themselves as members of a family business. We're going to talk also about good practices that we put ongoing when we want to start a professionalization of a family business. And finally, when we talk about the rights, we are going to talk about what to do with the resources of the family business. How do we start any ideas of entrepreneurship, especially in the second or third generation, and what are the employment rules that we want to apply to a family business. And those are some examples of that kind of rights. So if the family want to address the issue of the succession, and it doesn't have to be always this, most of the family charters need to set the rules of the governance, and some of them need to set the rules of the succession. So we are going to base our succession rules on ownership, management, and leadership. Those are the three parts of the succession rules that we are going to take care. So I want to wrap up my ideas. I know it's been a very short exposition, but I think that we will be discussing some of those details now in the Q&A part. The first of all, to set the rules of a common purpose, which is the main goal, setting the rules in this case, we need to improve communication. We need to define the purpose based on the values, the storytelling, and the vision. And we have to set the rules. By the end of the day, we will have all of the instructions that we need to create to reach that goal that we have identified with the rules that we tell us how to go through this path, which are based on the way that we are going to communicate ourselves. And I want to take a couple of seconds to mention that you can find most of the information I've been sharing here in my book, which is available in Amazon India in a format of ebook. It's named The Road to Triumph in Family Business. You can also have it in hard copy like this, but I'm not sure if this is available in India. You can find it in other markets. And that's basically what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you very much for this opportunity to present these ideas. And now I'm open to any question that you could have from the panel or the public.
Okay, so thank you, Guillermo, for a very informative and inspiring presentation, though it's short, but it is very, very sweet. As I understand, the central thesis of your framework is that of bridging the generational gaps or inspiring next generation, which is our core topic today, has to be through an unifying purpose. And in creating that unifying purpose, I understand that the communication and storytelling are the fundamental mechanisms that you are proposing to make this work. And so that, of course, you have given a kind of broader understanding, but maybe I would like you to basically give a little more deeper understanding of this connection between
Yes.
how you use communication and storytelling to actually build that unifying purpose, which you have alluded to in your presentation, but maybe a bit of fleshing out might be useful for the audience.
Yes, thank you. I've been trying, I've been working with different families that basically are looking for the same objective. And most of them, when they refer to me, they come asking for a family charter. We need a family charter. And that's, I will say that 70% of the requests are more or less related on how do we put the rules to work, and we want it to really be working. We don't want to have a set of rules that we are going to save in some place and we are going to forget about it. So the way that I've been learning on this year is that if you really want to put on a set of rules to work for you, you need them to make the sustainability of your business in a medium or long term. It's the only way. If you're going to find solutions for a short term, I don't think this is what you're looking for. So if you want your business to go through a medium long term using some basic rules, you have to answer the first question I asked you. Do you really want to go together? Because there are options that you can explore with the next generation. And this is a very serious question. I mean, when I do that, most of the family doesn't have even suspect that this question can be done. And in the way that we understand the world today, there is a possibility that the business will not keep on going ahead in the hands of a family. So this is the first part. We need to answer that. If the answer is yes, as I said before, most of the cases say yes. That's why we're asking you to help us, basically. We want to go together as a family business. So we have to understand that as a system of complexity that combines family, business, ownership, succession, and all of the implications of this complexity are related with human beings that want to share their ideas, and the expectations of that ideas are to align in some kind of common ideas. So in order to put all different ideas, the first thing that we have to do is learn how to put together all the ideas to have some common. So that's why we need to improve communication. And once we understand how do we human beings function in our communications, we will learn and we will raise the bar of our experience of communicating in family. Once we have that, the next step is to find a purpose. Why do we want this family business to be sustainable in the medium long term? Because you told me that you want to go together as a family business, but you have to tell me why do you want to go? Because the only way is that you have to convince me that you want to go because you really want to do it, not because I told you, not because somebody told you, you read that in a book, you saw that in a movie. You really need to tell me why do you want to be a family business, because otherwise we cannot set the rules for that. So if I want to go deep in that answer, I need to touch the emotional part of that answer. And the best way to connect with the emotional part of a family is to tell the story. And telling the story is a methodology to go through the different myths of the family, through the different events, through the different characteristics that can help us to understand why they have made some decisions in that specific event. And those whys are the values of the family. And once you help them to go through the story and identify that key moments of why they have decided to do that, they will find that those values are part of their identity as a family. And every family have different values. Most of them are common with other family business, but most of the family has their own values or their own experience. Once you have the opportunity to share with the family, with different generations, when an elder generation telling stories to the other generation, to the next generation in an orderly way, you will see that the next generation will understand what's their role in the business and the story of the family business, because they will want to be part of this story because they belong to, they are part of the family, they have an opportunity to be part of this. It's not only motivational, because when you find something that motivates you, it's something that comes from the outside and push you to go that way. It's inspirational because it's something that comes from the inside. It's part of you. You are part of this story. And we are expecting that you can be part of this. If you want to, you are invited to. So once you have that, you will have the perfect setting to create a vision, because I know where I come from. And if I want to keep on going that story moving forward, we will need to think on the future. And as a next generation, I know that I am part of the future. I can express my desire. I can express because I have learned how to, because I know how to communicate. I can express my desire, even telling that or creatively telling you how do I imagine this future. And then we create the vision of the family business. This is the continuum of your story. And there's where we want to go. Now you are inspired on that future. Tell me, why do you want to go there? And there's always a why.
Yeah. I think you have given a very good connect with that. So thank you very much for that. I'm just wondering that in your approach, is there an assumption that the families have to have certain level of preparedness, readiness, and a level of harmony among themselves to actually adopt this approach? Why I'm raising this question, because many of the families in this part of the world, actually the relationships are very fractured, fragmented, strained already. So bringing them into the conversation table, because your approach requires a high degree of conversation, and therefore, is there a level of preparedness that is required to adopt this approach, or there is a mechanism by which you can do that, make them prepared to adopt that approach?
Well, I have to confess that this is not different from this part of the world. We are witnessing a situation where the individuals value more their own identity than the identity of the family. And we can see that. And I think that this is one of the biggest diseases in our society right now. But the thing is that I have to admit also that this methodology is not for every family. You need a minimum of circumstances that can help us to go through that process. A minimum of value, a minimum of values related with the desire of unity, but just a minimum. You don't need to be extremely enmeshed as a family. Just answering the question with an honest way. Yes, we want to keep together. We can fix some disconformities in the communication style, maybe. And as always been advising of families, I can tell you that most of the families that belong to a family business, there is in very deep in every individual, there is a desire of doing the right thing. The thing is that we don't know how. I mean, I belong to a family with some values. I have my identity with them. I love them, but I don't know how to make it work. So if improving communication can help us to send the messages the way that we want to, maybe we can start to work on resolving conflicts, because we will find that the origin of those conflicts are in many cases, misunderstanding of errors in the communication, in many cases. So if we improve communications, we can start to work on conflicts that come from the past by analyzing in what moment we lost the right messaging. Because we are families, we love each other, and we understand that we want the best for us. So I'm not saying that this is a magical wound that will help us to solve anything, but that can help. And if you have that minimum requirement of values and desire of unity, and you answer the right question, so yes, this way of working can help us to elevate the bar for a more harmonic family.
Thank you. And do you recommend to have an outside facilitator to take them through this journey, or somebody from the family can play that role?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think that it depends on the complexity of the family business. For some family business that doesn't have that complexity, and when I mention that, I refer to maybe first to second generation, only mother, father, and maybe a couple of kids or 3 kids. If we don't have an open conflict among the family, or if the business is not that big, it's something that can help them to, to live as a decent family. I think that maybe the external advisor is something that probably they cannot afford, or maybe they don't want to work with some outsider. So that's why I wrote this book, because this is a guide to go step by step by someone in the family that we can call the agent of change, someone that really wants to improve the way that they perform. And this person can lead this change through the methodology, and they can apply this to them. And I've seen them, after I wrote the book, I know of people that have been working with this. I mean, this is a very interesting guide. And if you cannot do the change that you want, at least you will know what to ask to someone when you would like to look for help. So again, it depends on the level of complexity. But once you have something very complex, the second to third generation, third to fourth generation, a huge business, or a complex structure of the business, you need someone from the outside, because it's very hard to have the capacity of the big picture of the situation in an objective way that requires the system to keep on going.
Okay, thank you. And I have just one last question before I take that, and a couple of questions from the audience. Is I think your framework, of course, doesn't specifically mention about the gender issues, but I guess there must be something implicit in terms of how to engage women into this conversation more, and particularly, again, what I'm saying, the societies that we belong to on this part of the world, again, the participation of women is not as much as it should be. And is there any specific recommendation that you are making in terms of using this approach where more women can actually get involved in this creation of the purpose of the family, and particularly in terms of communication, storytelling, because they have the certain natural advantage of doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. And things are changing. I mean, in this part of the world, we can see that women are taking more and more presence in the conversations, in the vital conversations of the family businesses. And I do think that the storytelling exercise is an excellent way to put the spot on the women's side of telling stories, because, as I mentioned before, we all have biases and preferences, and the way that we tell our stories are ruled by those preferences. But if you put together a man and a woman telling the same story, you will have different dimensions of this story, and it's amazing. You can create a literal work of what the entrepreneur have been doing, or you can create a whole world of sensations when you put together men and women saying what they have been through. And that's a part that to connect with the story, to connect with the family business, and to improve the quality of the family business talent in a family in a situation when they can share all of their sensations, all of their thoughts, all of their experiences, because you open this experience to all of the possibilities to feel with more information and feelings. So that's an excellent moment. But yes, we need more women, and I can admit and I can admit that, because we have seen the benefits of working with them in a balanced way. I mean, for example, working in a board with only men, it's something. Working in a board with only women, it's something. But once you have the right balance, you will have that. You have the best of both worlds.
And when you're talking about intergenerational things, see that what is the right age where the kids of the family should get into this conversation? Because there are certain things that you are mentioning. Is there some age bar in terms of where they would be participating in this conversation, or you believe that it can be very early in the childhood?
Well, again, I would refer to the complexity. In some families, you can have a special forum for the next generation that you can call the junior forum or something that will help them to express their opinion, to learn how to connect with the family business, and you can train them from there to know about the business, to know about the story, and how to make them feel that this belongingness can make them proud and can make them the best ambassadors of the family business. Once you have that kind of member of the family business, you will have the best candidates to be part of the body of governance that you need. So if you have enough complexity, you can work in that kind of structures. Otherwise, you can use the family council to make them participate in some kind of conversations that they can participate, or you can invite them from time to time to go to a board meeting if this is under a structure of a plan for learning some of the issues of governance. It will depend on what you need, but the thing is that you need someone who is connected with the knowledge and the story and the feeling of being a good ambassador of the family. You will find the right place.
Okay. So I don't see much of an audience question on the chat box. Just one. Yeah. So somebody has asked for certain what he called some checklists. So as Guillermo has mentioned, I think the book must be having lots of checklists. So repeating that may be difficult here. But I think Binod Thakur has mentioning it may be possible that problems in the family started occurring due to poor business performance. So how facilitating a purpose-related discussion will help in this? So, if I understand correctly, this thing that in particular context when the company, the family business is not doing well, how this positive thing of purpose would be actually created.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's very common. I mean, I've seen families that have discussion, and the thing is that when the business is not going well, it's very hard to call an advisor from the outside, because this is some investment that the family don't want to do, because they say, okay, we are not going through a good moment in our business. You are going to spend money in bringing someone that we are not sure if they are going to give you any answer. So those discussions are very common. So if we have the opportunity to go through a process where the families start to share their thoughts about the business, you will be amazed of all of the solutions that they can show of the situation that they are living, if the leadership wants to. because most of the problems in the business are related with some kind of, and I don't want to sound offensive with this term, but it is a term with some obsolete politics of the business in a current environment. So when you have that situation, you will have a business that is not responding in the proper way with the environment. If you invite the rest of the family, especially the next generation, to discuss some ideas out of the box, you will be amazed of the solutions that you will find. But again, it depends if the leadership wants to open their thoughts to those new ideas. And if that's the situation, I think that an external advisor can help a lot to order those ideas and present them in a way that can be discussed and go further on developing these ideas in a family business.
Okay, so I think, thank you, Guillermo. We can go on. I think it's so fascinating and you have such wealth of knowledge and information on this, but you have to be mindful about that, the clock. And given that, we also have to listen to Mr. PM Kumar about his thoughts on the overall conversation and some pulse of wisdom from him. So I will now request Mr. PM Kumar to share his comments and insights on this the topic and the conversation. Over to you.
Thank you, Saugata. I don't know what the pearls of wisdom, but let me first of all thank you, Guillermo. Thank you, Saugata, for bringing in this very interesting conversation. So I'd like to make a few comments, which I hope add some slightly different perspective to what Guillermo's. I completely agree with what he said. So the title is Inspiring Next Generation. So let me just unpack this box of inspiring and then ask. Very many families go through a dilemma. The dilemma, few dilemmas. One dilemma is, do we inspire the next generation at their terms? Or should they get inspired by our terms? Whose terms would this inspiration work? And what is, so this tug of war goes on. Inspiration at whose terms? And I think this whole issue of shared purpose, Guillermo, I think is a wonderful way of co-creating the terms of the new future of the family business. So I think that's very elegant. The other thing is, NextGen, as all of us know, are actually grappling with the second dilemma of identity and individuation. They're at a stage in their life where they are searching for their identity, they're searching for their individuation. And if their personal identity can find a place in the family identity, then there is so much of connection, so much of, it fuses together. Therefore, again, doing a co-created purpose, looking at the identity, provides a space for the next generation to locate their identity within the family business. So I think that's a very important one. The other thing that perhaps can be inspiring, and many families have tried it, is to utilize the skills and the energy which the next gen brings in to modernize the existing business, even if you don't have too much money to allocate and diversify your portfolio. So there are many cases where next gen have come in to digitize their legacy company, whether it is go-to-market or service or whatever. So whole host of digitization opportunities exist in the legacy business itself. I think a few words on communication. Again, the dilemma number 3 is, it's a chicken and egg. Which comes first? Do we need a good relationship for communication to happen? Or do we need a good communication for relationship to happen? And very often it's a stalemate in the minds of people involved. And that the storytelling, if I use the term, is a wonderful way of integrating and not getting caught with this dilemma. There's one other point I want to mention about storytelling and its advantages I can see now. Many families are caught with their history. That history has fractured relationships. What is more, the fractured relationship of the senior generation seeps into the units, their children. So where two senior generation people were at odds with each other, now the entire family unit is at odds. And therefore, I think the power of storytelling is to dilute the venom, if I may use the term, to bring people together to rediscover their history, to rediscover their pride. Maybe differences will still exist, but perhaps with less venom, with less intensity. And that is, anything is important to create that harmony. And this can be a very good first step. One other thing, dilemma of differences, communication. I know you mentioned about personalities, red, blue, yellow, and so on. Do differences arise only from personalities, or do differences arise from different perspectives on the same subject? And so while we deal with personalities, again, storytelling brings in different perspectives to complete the story. The incomplete story is completed, and the hero moves on, or whatever, and each of them are heroes or heroines of the story. So that's a very elegant way. So there are many. The point I'm making is, in what you're saying, Guillermo, communication, purpose, charter. While charter is a structure, communication and purpose fall in the culture sort of piece broadly. And the other aspect of inspiration is not just style, behavior, or an inspiring story, but a meaningful purpose, a co-created purpose, which next gen can connect to. Because purpose, as you know, and I've discovered in my own way, has a very galvanizing effect of bringing people together and offering their best talent. So that's really some of the stuff that I wanted to share to communicate two things. I think your presentation, Guillermo, covers bridges between the next gen and the earlier gen, and offers clues to how this bridge can be crossed, or in some way where both the generations can cross over and create a third proposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if we have time, Sugata, to maybe mention some comments on Kumar. Your mic is closed.
Sorry. Yeah, of course, you can give your final words. Yeah.
Okay. I will say that from experience, creating this sense of vision of future, it's always related with the sense of hope in a family. And this is very important, because when the circumstances of the family business are against the odds for a family, if you don't have faith in the future, it is very hard to create a vision, a shared vision. And especially in situations of a very conflictive environment, a family needs faith to move forward. The other thing that you say is that how do we inspire the generations, the elder to the new one, or the new one to the elder? That's all based on that. If we can share that sense of hope and faith, we can move that forward. I agree with you. The one of the situations that we have in our society is this movement of the of the individualizations of our values against the family and the loyalty. And this is something that we are witnessing right now, and this is very important to take care and to be advised of this. The other thing is about the storytelling and how do we learn from our own story, as you mentioned, and the storytelling is a very powerful tool that can help us to identify patterns of the past that maybe are not useful right now. So once you have that in mind and you can identify that, you can break some of the karmatic situations that you can believe in just by understanding why it was valid in the past and maybe this is not valid right now. And yes, and communication can help us as a tool to improve the way that we communicate, but it not per se the solution to put on common different perspective. The perspective need to be shared, need to be confronted in some cases to create something new. But the communication per se is not going to do that. Will give us the tools for that, but we need to put our different ideas to work together.
Thank you.
So for popular demand, Guillermo, one more question from the audience I have to take, and we have some more time, so I'm told. Particularly Ramakrishna Ramamurthy is asking one question that which he says that there is conflicting expectations or from senior generations and junior generation, each of them, and I think PM was also mentioning that, and you also mentioned that the senior generation believes that the younger generation are not entrepreneurial enough or they're not hardworking enough. Similarly, the younger generation, next generation feels that the elder generations are fossilized or they are not savvy in technology, they are not willing to embrace newer things. So this conflict in views, how do you reconcile that through the approaches that you have mentioned? I know that you have mentioned that, but I think you should reiterate that for the audience once more.
Well, again, I think that this is a typical situation that we always face, and somehow all the families has this conflict. Again, I have to go back to the main question: do we want to keep on going together? If we want to keep on going together, we will find a way to put those generations to work on a common purpose. But we will need always two main ingredients for that formula: that the older generation is capable of change, and that the next generation is capable of commit. If we don't have those elements, it will be very hard to overcome that obstacle. So we need to start the conversations in order to see if this older generation understand what's the meaning of changing and what's it for, and if the next generation can show the older generation that they have the commitment for that enterprise. So it's all about conversation. It's all about putting all the things on the table and saying, okay, we have this, we want to go together. How do we do that? But we need to start the conversation. This is not going to happen because yes, no. We need to start the conversation.
And very well said. I think, in fact, at the end of the day, this is not one-off exercise. There has to be both sides. There's two in tango. Both have to come together, and it has to be, the conversation has to be continuous, relentless. It has to be patient. It has to be creative, because that sparks can't happen overnight. It is through those engagements, sometimes some reconciliation or understanding each other would happen. So therefore, at the end of the day, whether it's senior generation, next generation, both have the responsibilities to actually work together. And as PM just mentioned, the co-creation. So responsibility lies with both the generation to co-create, because the future belongs to both the senior as well as the next generation. And to that, I think with that spirit, I think we can conclude this session. So thank you, thank Guillermo once again for a very wonderful disposition and articulation of some very fundamental thoughts in a very simple ways, and giving kind of very easy to do kind of things in a family context, and also PM for your, as usual, wise comments. And thank everybody who has actually done a lot of work at the background to make this thing happen. So, and also the wonderful audience who have been patiently listening to this conversation. I hope you have got enough meat for and the value for the time that you spent in this evening. Thank you very much,
Absolutely.
everybody. It's a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation to the
Thank you.
Parampara Institute.
Thanks.